Stampendous booth at Creativation. I want to show you what Deb Antonick is doing over here. Hey!
Hi!
So we'll come in close and you'll show us a little bit of what you're doing here.
I have one of the little minis, the little mini POP stamps. So it's my favorite little one. It's called Bunny Bums. I call it Bunny Bums. It's called all sorts of things. So I'm just going to do a quick stamp on it with my little Misty because I just love this thing. And because I'm going to be working with the DecoArt Fluid Acrylics and the matte mediums and various things, it's important that I use an Archival Ink. So my personal preference is the Stays On Archival Ink, or of course the Ranger ink, but this one's kind of getting a little down in color for me. And because I'm going to stamp on a little canvas, I'm using the Misty. That way I can get a nice, good, even print. So I stamp my little bunny. My image down. Give it a little press. And see, because of the canvas texture, he doesn't always come in as well as I would like. But I'm going to take the little flowers off because they came on really well. Re-ink my bunny. Get some hair on my bunny. There we go.
Yeah.
Push him a little hard, but that's okay. That's all right. Put my thing aside. And other than that, there's no other prep necessary because I'm using fluid acrylics. It is an acrylic product. It's very high in pigment. So
did you use some gesso?
I did not use
underneath?
gesso on the canvases because canvases are pre-gessoed.
Okay.
But if I was to do it on like a little wood piece, like some little samples that I have here on the table, I will put a coated gesso down just to seal it, and basically so I can turn my surface into paper.
Yeah.
So we would start with a nice clean white piece of paper. I turn my surface into a nice clean white piece of paper. It's a like clean canvas to start with. So when I'm painting, I'm going to use this sweet little brush. This is a Dynasty Brush IPC Point Blender Ink, Pen, and Chalk. They actually started off in the makeup industry with these, but this one, what I like about it is if you notice the tip of it, it's a point. So when I teach it to, you know, people in the paper carding industry, they're very comfortable using markers and colored pencils and, you know, assorted different types of crayons and things. So this makes this brush really easy to use for anybody who's never painted before. So there's good. I just load it up with a little bit of paint and I color with it as though it was a brush or a marker. And it's worked out really well. So I'm going to use a little tiny little bit of paint. You don't need a whole lot.
And what are your paints?
Oh, the paints are the DecoArt Media Fluid Acrylics. Very affordable, made here in the United States too, which is really nice. And they just have a wide range of vibrant colors. The more you layer them, the more vibrant you get. Like if you could see on this one, which I've started already, I've added 2 or 3 layers to just a basic boring yellow flower, and the colors are starting to pop, and still working on that guy. So when I load this brush, I just load the little tip of it, and I just kind of rouge it around on I'm using palette paper, but you can use like styrofoam plates are really good. A tile, you know, something that the paint will move around on. So now I've got it loaded as just like a pen. And I'm going to color my little bunny just like I was coloring. So I'm holding it like it was a crayon. And I can go right up on the tip for the fine edges, or I can go right on its side and color like it was a crayon. Get a little bit more paint. And you can control how much paint you want as well, which is nice about this little brush. The more water you use, you can almost watercolor very lightly with it. And just color. And I'll do this 2 or 3 times. I can just add more layers of color. That's what makes it fun and more vibrant. So right now he's just a little bunny. Just love his little tail.
What other colors would you use on top of this?
Well, the colors, because I use it as a wash first, when I go through and I start deepening it, I can use the same color that I started with, the burnt sienna full strength, without watering it down, and that'll give me the first level of depth with it once it starts to dry. And I'd like to look at other colors that I could do with it. So
sometimes use some
I
yellow.
layer, yeah. So when I'm finished, I'll probably put yellow over top of them, and he'll just make them kind of pop in the highlights and sort of give them a little depth of color. And when I do my shading, you can do the shading with this brush. You can pity pat, you know, your darker shades in. Let's try it a little bit. You can kind of pity pat it in, start to tap it in, work it around very lightly. And so you can start adding your depth that way. So for people who are just prefer to color in their depth, I like to use a little angle shader, little angle brush. And the reason I like it is because there's always got water in it, even though the color is going to stay on the tip. So when I load it up with paint, the paint stays right on the tip. I don't know if you can see that there or not. So when I do my shading on my bunny, I get that nice, the water helps to smooth the paint out. So I'm getting a little bit more of a depth, nice smooth transition of color.
Very fun. And explain a little bit on how you do the matte medium.
So the matte medium, which I've actually just put over top of this guy, when you put matte medium over the paint, it'll seal what you've already done. So when I've painted this and I'm like it and I want to start adding other colors, I could get a little nervous as to, you know, ruining what I've already done. So DecoArt's matte medium is a very, it's a ultra matte. There's no sheen to it. It's a sealer. It's a decoupage medium. It's a varnish to seal your pieces when you're done. So many uses, but I call it magic sauce.
I was amazed how quickly it dried.
It dries super fast, super fast. And a perfect example right here, I'm going to put this little teacup here. This is another one of the little minis that I've been playing with, and I have a coat of matte medium on this already, which I did for a demo that I was working on. So the trick with it, when you're unsure of your colors, and I did the bunny ears already, so I can go through and I can put the tint on my bunny ears, deepen my shading, but I get paint over top of the flower. It's a perfect example. I can take a baby wipe or I can take my little brush and it will come right off.
That makes it really fun to be able to work.
We can take it right
like
off,
you do.
which you couldn't do if
you
didn't put a matte medium barrier on it.
That's
and it
really
also
great.
allows you to.
I just want to show real quick here. You've worked on watercolor paper. You've worked over here on wood.
A little dollar store
rough
tray.
Wood. Here we've got these fun little shakers from clear scraps and embossed on the surface, but this just makes such a fun little one. And I just want to show you a few more over here. Look at the little canvases on the easels. So fun. And then these are phone holders that you've decorated.
Wooden phone
and
holders, clear scraps.
the watercolor stamps now take on a whole different look with the painting. So let me come in and see your fun little cards there. And okay,